Okay, this is episode 14 for our therapeutic art prompts. This goes along with episode 14 of the podcast, which was about leaving the church versus deconstructing the church. So the therapeutic art prompt is called Chains and Keys. And I talked about in the podcast how sometimes we can leave the church, but still hold belief systems that we got from the church. And it's on a spectrum. We might not believe the church is true anymore, but there are belief systems that we're still operating under that we're not aware of. And so that part is the chains part. So I want you to divide your paper in half, and you can represent this however you want. I just drew a chain here and some things that are like locked. And this guy is like, you know, it represents only men can see. And this is, it says there's only one acceptable way of being a woman. So she's headless, you know, it could, like, she's just an interchangeable woman. There's nothing like unique about her. Anyway, so just write down some of the things that, some of the belief systems that maybe you are still believing. I found this actually to be really hard because like we're usually not aware of those belief systems that we're still operating under, or else we would let them go, right? But it did help me come up with some that I was surprised that I am still believing. So anyway, some of the things that I wrote are, we have all the secrets. The way other people perceive you is important. So in Mormonism, we kind of put on this like show of looking righteous or looking good. If our family's, you know, following all the rules or whatever, it's supposed to be good. Shame. And this was one that came up for me that I really didn't realize that I was still operating from so much, is you can't raise good kids outside the church. And I think like intellectually I know that, but I think I was still thinking of it in this way, in this context of like family home evening and family scripture study and like formal lessons. You know, I've been thinking about like, well, how can I replace those things for my kids? Like, do we need to do a formal like sit down lesson on, you know, not necessarily church stuff, but on values or working hard or whatever it is? Like that format somehow, for some reason, still seems like the best or only way to do it well. So that was interesting for me to realize. And then the other side is keys. So these are the things like, these are the thoughts that help you unlock the things that are keeping you chained to the church. So some of mine are critical thinking, self-trust, life is complex, not everything is black and white, differentiation is healthy, being able to educate myself, I need to be able to self-evaluate with honesty and self-love instead of shame and beating myself up about things. Speaking my truth and self-expression. And then for the one about the kids is, I just realized like kids need true connection, not just rules. So I think that like family home evening and lessons and those kinds of things in the church are a vehicle for connection, if that makes sense. It's not necessarily like family home evening itself or like what you're teaching about, but it's just like those are connection points. I remember when I was a kid, I loved family prayer, and I think it was because we did line hug afterward. Like everybody would line up and we'd go down the line and hug each other. And that was just like a connection point for our family where I felt a lot of love. So I realized while I was doing this prompt that I can create those moments in our home, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like as formal. Just that connection is more important than the rules or the dogma, or, you know, I want my kids to be able to tell me if they have a different opinion than me or if they believe something different. I think in the church they're taught a lot like there's only the one way, and if you're not complying, then, you know, mom and dad will be worried and stressed out and all of that. It's been nice for me to just like let a lot of that go and actually get to know my kids for who they are instead of like who I want them to pretend to be, if that makes sense. So the reflection questions are, number 1, what beliefs or mindsets are keeping you chained to the church? And for me, that was, you know, there are a lot of them, but you can't raise good kids without the church. Number 2 is, what keys will help you unlock those chains? So I realized also, excuse me, I was defining good, like good kids, from a church perspective still. Like the meaning of what that means in church, that's how I was still defining it. And it's not necessarily true. Like I want kids that are moral and thoughtful, but I don't want kids that never make mistakes. I don't want kids who have a lot of shame, you know. So good is a relative term, and I can define what that means for myself instead of by the way the church defines it. I'm assuming prayers, FHE, and lessons are the most effective way, and that's not necessarily true. And my kids need real connection with me. They need to be able to trust me and connect with me. And then number 3 is there a specific key you want to focus on using this week? So just reminding myself that there are a lot of ways to connect with my kids. There are a lot of ways to teach them. And there are a lot of downsides to the way the church does it. You know, there's performance and compliance. There's, I feel like, a lot of conditional love, shame, emotional immaturity, those things. So, you know, it's not necessarily healthier than doing it a different way. So that was mine. Yeah, that's it for this one. Show me what you make. You guys, I love it when you email me or send me DM about your therapeutic art prompts. So, okay, take care.